these last few people trickle in. Yeah, okay. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Megan Kupchak. I welcome all of my fellow senior parents. I hope you're all surviving. This is my first go-around, so it's a whole new ball of wax here. I'm one of the co-chairs for the 12th grade parent education. Today's presentation, The College Process and Senior Year Essentials, is brought to you by our wonderful PFA. Thank you to all of you who are supporters. It's with your donations and membership we're able to help fund these informative parent education events and refreshments. If you aren't already a member, we highly encourage you to do so because we can continue to bring these great events. I'd also like to thank our amazing counseling department for today's event. I, for one, know I need all the help I can get. So without further ado, we'll get started.
Okay, first up, I'd like to introduce you to Kelly Damasio, who is our internship coordinator for the Senior Internship Program, and she would like to introduce the program to you.
Good morning. So after the college application process is done for your students, they can
Good news is it actually gets done. It's actually over.
They can breathe for a little bit, and then the senior internship program will be introduced to them the beginning of December. So I just want to give you a very brief background of the program so you all know what's to come. So the program was designed to really give our students a hands-on experience into professional work setting where they are developing and continuing to polish some soft skills. They are building a network and connecting with employers. Through the internship program, they are not only walking away with a great reference and a great opportunity to put on their resume, but they're really gaining insight needed to thrive in future internships and jobs. So the process is really designed to mirror steps that they're going to encounter in future internships and jobs. So they will be expected to meet deadlines for the application. There's essay questions. They go through an interview. They will learn how to effectively communicate with a supervisor, and they are attending trainings, which they will develop a resume and create a LinkedIn account. So it's a really great opportunity for your students to kind of learn this whole process in a structured and supportive environment. So there's two types of internships your students can select. The first is an internship that is placed by the school, so they will look through a database of sites that we provide with the descriptions. They will select 15 and rank them. And then the other internship that they can choose from is a self-design, where essentially they are designing their own internship. Based on our criteria. So some of that criteria is a student cannot do an internship in a site that they are currently working or getting paid. Their supervisor cannot be a family member. The supervisor must be 21 years or older. It must be within a 30-mile radius of the school. While we really encourage in-person internships, we do allow remote and hybrid with the expectation that students the requirement that students are meeting with their supervisor daily via some type of video conference platform. Students interested in designing their own internship, now is a really good time for them to start thinking about that and reaching out to employers. Employers get busy, things fall through. So please encourage your students to start thinking about that and reaching out to places that they might be interested in. When students complete the self-design application, there are some things that they'll need to have when they complete that. So they'll need the employers or their host contact information, so their job title, phone number, email, a description of what they're going to be doing, and then of course they need to make sure that they've spoken with their supervisor. It's very clear what they're going to be doing, because when they click submit, the application will get sent to the supervisor for approval and also to me for approval. So just some general information. The program the applications will open up sometime in the beginning of December. They'll close at the beginning of January. It runs from May 20th to June 13th. The end date may extend pending snow days. It's 25 hours a week, typically 5 hours a day during school hours, so after school sports shouldn't be affected. Students do receive a credit for it. This program is optional. Almost 98% of our students do participate. It is not required, but encouraged, and most students really see the value and participate in it. All of this information I will send out in an email to you in November, so when the applications open up, you know what's to come. It's also on our website, so if you go on the high school website, in the search bar, if you just type in internship, there's two things above the website, but the third down, you'll see the website. It's all outlined there, especially students who are interested in self-design. I have a specific page just for the self-design program, so you can see the criteria. And also it has information for your students to provide to their host, so the host can see what their expectations are as well. So lastly, I am reaching out to you all for some support. We are currently in the process of looking for hosts for all of your amazing students. So if you or a family member are interested in hosting an intern or could really encourage someone that you know to host an intern, we'd greatly appreciate that. You can refer them to myself. Last year, my interns were amazing, and they created these videos that I would never be able to create. So our students are really bringing fresh perspective. They're tech savvy. You know, they helped me get to a project that, again, I wouldn't be able to do. So it's a really win-win for both our students, but also the employers. I have flyers on the table over here. So the flyers, if you know someone, it has all of the information. It also has a QR code with the website that has all of the information. Feel free to take one on your way out. I look forward to working with all of your students this year. And again, don't hesitate if you have any questions to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. A smattering of applause. First of all, I think we were neglectful in introducing ourselves. I'm Susan Carroll, for those of you who I have yet to meet. This is Cynthia Rivera, Cindy to us, our department chair, and Lisa Granite, our wonderful and tech goddess registrar. So I think we have a bunch of topic headings. We'll tell you a little bit about the topic, and then if you have any questions about that topic, don't hesitate to raise your hand. And we'll just move through what is happening now and the college application process to come. And first up would be, Cindy, you want to talk about life right now?
Yeah. Yes, I just wanted to couch all of this in the last 2 weeks being so difficult, and how much we have. We hope that your children are doing okay. We're touching base with them. We know they're all in different places, and they are in different levels of readiness for moving forward. Yesterday we talked with our kids about Friday and that we're starting a campaign that's Don't Worry Alone. And they'll have T-shirts, and we're moving towards suicide prevention rather than having kids still dwell on the suicide of a peer. So moving forward, we don't want to leave those kids behind or make them feel like we're moving on and not thinking about it anymore, because some kids aren't ready to hear it. So in our meetings yesterday, I just reminded them there's still a lot of time. It's still early. We're okay. There will be time to get everything done if they can't get started this week or next week. But we do want to know who those kids are. So if you can reach out to your child's counselor to say, let us know if your child is not moving forward in a healthy way, then we want to make sure we're in touch with them. You've all been really great so far, I think, in partnering with us, but definitely make it one of those things that you put on your radar as well. We are, to all our letters of recommendation that are going out, we're putting a blurb on the top that says these kids have suffered a traumatic loss in September, and are still grieving and still going through it. So please look at all of this with a different eye as you work with as they review our applications. And colleges are so sympathetic to this and understand this so well and how this is going to go. So we're here, wherever your kids are, and it's a different place for everybody. And it's really hard for some kids right now, and they're angry. Like, I had a student come to me yesterday saying, I don't want that. I don't want to stop talking about Elliot. I feel angry that we're changing the subject. I said, we're not changing the subject. We're not, but a lot of kids are ready. And so, so we're just taking each child where they are. So really be in touch with us if you're seeing anything. And then now we're going to go back to telling you about what we're doing. And because for a lot of kids, it's good for them to kind of focus on something else right now. And kind of the stress of leaving it behind is worse than doing nothing, than not doing it. So we are moving forward with kids as much as they can. And we're
Can I just say something? I live in New Canaan, so I get all choked up. It's the grandmother in me, I'm afraid. But I don't know about you, but I am so proud of how the school district has met this awful challenge. And from Brian Lutzy on down to your amazing counseling staff, your kids are in really good hands. And just from someone who has been watching everything on the periphery, knowing how much care the administration and every individual person has for your children, you're very, very blessed. You're very, very blessed. And also, I was talking to a teacher this morning. I said, he's an English teacher, teaches seniors, and I said, how are your kids doing? And he said, I'm going to send them out an email today and say to them, let me know when you feel like I can start holding you accountable for your work. Because he knows they're all in different places. So I know if I was a parent sitting on that side of the table, I would want to know how well cared for your children are. I think the college thing is right in front of them, and it's going to happen. But for everything else that really matters in life, your kids are in excellent, excellent hands. And as a taxpayer, I'm hoping you share that. And if you do share that, it's nice to put fingers to keyboard and tell people how you feel. We are quick to do that when we are disagreeing with something. How about doing it when an applause is due for a very awful circumstance? That's my TED Talk. I'll stop now.
Good, thank you. So we're going to talk about a lot of things today, but I just wanted to show you on our website that there are
Is it the
a
right
number
page?
of resources for you. And we have put all the mental health resources here. This is the school counseling website. We also have the college visit calendar here, so Sue will talk about that at some point. And then as you scroll down, all the important documents under senior year forms are here, and all the things that we talk about, all the videos we have here. So I just wanted you to see this. We also have Facebook and X, Instagram, and the counselors have an Instagram account. I think we have 1,000 followers. So excited. So, this is a resource that you should look at. And of course, our general information comes here. So I'm just going to click on the senior year forms because Lisa's going to talk about, there we go. See, these are all links to everything we talk about. This is the parent letter we sent home where your brag sheet is, the parent questionnaire. So different things are here that we will talk about. This last one is what Lisa's going to talk about today under transcript request form. Go ahead, Lisa. You want me to make it bigger? I don't know.
Is it
Look at
good?
my phone.
Yeah.
It's good. Good morning. So this form, we ask that all the students complete. It's completely fillable, so they can type into it And once it's completed, they can email it directly to me. The counselors ask for 4 weeks' time to fill it out, and the reason is, you know, they need to write their recommendations. And then once the counselors are ready, they give the form to me, and I process it immediately. There's also a part on the form that if your students have transferred in from another school, we ask them to check that box. We will make sure that their previous transcript goes as well. And there are 4 documents that go through Naviance, which is the counselor recommendation and school profile, the transcript, and I think it's one other council form, right? Their council forms.
And
But,
our recommendation.
Yeah, and I'm sure Cindy will go through all that with you, but this form really is kind of like, you know, my go-to. Everything is on that form. If they are applying to a non-Common App school, there is a box that says to let me know, because sometimes we have to send it differently. If they're overseas, sometimes they still have to be mailed. And if they're non-Common App, they also could go through what we call parchment, but I would need to know that as well. All right, so, and I also want to talk about the first quarter grade forms. We don't need them to complete that yet. We will send an email home telling them we want them to look at their grades first, because now Naviance has changed their process in the way that we send first quarter grades. And if I do it through Naviance, there's no way to pick a certain school, to send it only to this school or this school. With Naviance, it's called one and done, and it goes to all of the schools. So if they only wanted to go to a few schools on the transcript form, I mean, on the first quarter form, hopefully it loads correctly.
Here we go.
Okay, it tells you to check the box to send to all schools, and then I'll send it through Naviance. But if they want to pick and choose, I ask them to check that box, put the name of the school, and they need to supply me with an email address, and I will email it directly to the school. But also, I ask them, don't complete this until they look at their grades, because once I've sent it, there's no way to retract it.
So this goes out generally the first week of November, so it's after the November 1st deadlines, but that's okay. This is additional information we're sending on to the college for them to process it. And some colleges ask for it directly, other colleges don't want to see it at all, and they'll ignore it. So we try, but they don't all see it. So it's not important to some of them. A lot of kids who are hitting senior year and really upping to a lot of APs this year, or a lot of honors, really more rigorous program from last year, this may be the only reason why your child might get deferred in the early round, because they want to see the first semester grades, not just first quarter grades, to see how you're doing in those higher level classes. So I don't want your child to really give up at that moment.
As a matter of fact, the Boston College rep was just here, and a student asked her about early decision 1, early decision 2, and she said, if you're taking 5 APs your senior year and you're applying ED1, I'm going to probably defer you because I'd like to see those grades. So just to
Yeah,
think wisely about choices, which I think your kids will.
yeah. And we'll talk about a lot of this stuff. I'll just keep our pretty picture up there so we can come back to this. I look good in this picture, so that's all that counts.
Does anyone have any questions about transcripts? Yeah.
And it's something to the effect of, I authorize the school to release grades for my student, blah, blah, blah. Is that applicable if the student is over 18 years old?
Yes, that's still applicable.
Okay, so we should fill it out and drop it off?
You should have filled it out in junior year, and we only have a
I
small,
forget everything these days, I probably did.
we have a small list of kids we're following up on, so we'll let you know if we still need it.
Okay,
Yeah, you'll hear
thanks.
from us if we need it.
Okay.
Yes. But I also didn't show you there's also an ED form, so if your child is applying early decision, there's also a form there for them to fill out as well and send it.
It is there also.
And
Jared?
The ED forms that you just referenced, is that internally, so the counselor is aware of the deadlines, or does that go to the college?
No, that's just internally for us, and so we're aware of things and we sign off when we, because there's a document that comes to us through Common App, also to sign off electronically for ED, so that's just a cross-check for us. And the transcript request form is good for us because we're always trying to verify that the kids actually applied to these schools and that everything is following through. A lot of times they fill this out and then never follow through with an application. So we're trying to warn them to please not put it in colleges I'm applying to yet, because they may not, it's still on their maybe list, you know, we can always do it. If they just want to send us a few, order a few transcripts for now, to get the process going, because every transcript that's sent after that does not take 3 to 4 weeks. If the package is ready, it's ready to go, it's a few buttons to send, and we'll get it out within the day or so.
You know what, let me explain something to you with Naviance now. So if your student puts all of their colleges on the transcript list, but they haven't actually submitted their application yet through Common App, when I go to send their materials, what happens is it all goes, but it's like in the cloud. So once your child actually submits the form, they merge and they go automatically. So I wouldn't have to resend it again. It just actually sits there. And if they decided that they're not going to apply, it's just going to sit wherever in cyberspace.
Hi, what was the first form that was mentioned that was supposed to be filled out last year?
Oh, it was in the junior parent,
The
it was
release.
permission to send transcripts.
And parents sign that or kids sign it?
Parents.
And we can find out from our counselor if we signed it, because I can't remember.
I think we'll be sending you a
Yeah,
notice.
you would hear from us if you didn't sign it.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone have one more?
So, if a school does not require a transcript, it sounds like there's other pieces that do go with the transcript to the school, so they should still send a transcript request to get the counselor reports.
Most schools don't apply.
I think everyone requires transcripts.
So,
Even SS, AR, we're still sending them a transcript.
Yeah, even if they're self-reporting grades, is what you're
Because
saying.
the key to that is
Yes,
self-reporting.
Yeah, they're self-reporting, and then we're following up with the transcript to just proof that that's really what's happening.
Okay, all right.
So, yes, the self-reporting is a pain in the neck, but.
Does anybody have any other questions for Lisa? Yeah.
So what about, so speaking of school requirements, what if the school doesn't require the SAT?
We'll talk about that in a minute. Any other transcript requests, questions? Yeah?
Just a quick question. The timing of this, I kind of lost when.
Can you stand up and shout?
Lost the timing. When are they supposed to request?
We're asking the same thing as, we're asking them to see us 3 to 4 weeks before things are due. So we've already talked to the kids who have October 15th and November 1st deadlines, that it's the time to do it. So, but if we do it during our senior appointment where we walk the kids through, remember this is how you do it, because they both cry, so it's okay. So we do walk them through, and remember, you gotta do this. So, if they haven't had their senior appointment yet with us, it's fine, we'll remind them of it.
Any other transcript questions? Okay, good. Thanks, Lisa. All right, so you were asked this summer to send in, we call it a pink sheet in the office, a parent profile.
The parent
The
profile.
parent profile. So we just want to talk a few minutes about that. Cindy, how do counselors use it?
Okay, so the kids filled out their part, right? Of all their activities, questions about what their favorite activities were and things like that. And kids have been really good about that. I love to find my philosophers and my kids who are thinking, who felt like they were too shy to ever do anything. And this is when the stories come out for us. But they say it in a kid way, what they think and feel about things. And it's fabulous. I love our meetings. And then we asked the parents to fill out, it's kind of a brag sheet, what are you proud of? What is important for you? And that
about your child and everything that's going on. And that's where I appreciate it, because you guys are really flowery and have lots of good stories and give us some great filler to the very bland kind of way. The kids are really, it's really hard for them to brag about themselves, and for you to brag is great, and then we come somewhere in the middle of what we're going to say in our letters. But we use that to go over in the senior appointment with the children, you're adults, almost adults, to talk about themselves, give us a complete picture of their journey through high school and what impact they had here, what impact they felt in how they learned, what courses they loved the most, what teachers really stirred them. And then we use what you said to talk about the extracurricular things, what you saw as growth in your child and had such an impact. So that is what we pull together and really get a sense of who your child was through high school and what we communicate to college is about. So if you could get, I know the deadlines have passed for these, but if you can get those to us right away, we're writing already for your students. We've met with a number of kids already, and I got one today. I was like, oh, I haven't sent this out yet, so I can add some little good gems. You got a letter in the summer that said that, but if not, it's on the form.
It's right on the website. And just a little, maybe a little advice for you. When I did this, even though I have a lot of gray hair, I did actually have a student here at one point, and I had my husband fill out one also, and it was amazing. Mine was all warm and cuddly, and his was read like a professional resume. And it was great. We sent them both in, but we also made copies of it. And once the year was over, we gave them to Molly. Because when you have pen to paper, sometimes you have all of that stuff that you're so proud of for your child that you don't even tell your child. And so it was a nice little, I think I did it when she was mad at me for something. I went,
And that's very true. So it's in the senior forms, again, the parent questionnaire it's called. So you can find it and fill it out. But also, this is what we're using, stories that maybe we can share with colleges. So I actually read it to the students as to what their parents thought, because I say, have you seen this? And they're like, no. And so I read it to them, and a lot of times they get teary and all flushed, and they haven't heard that, and they're so appreciative. And it also gives them a chance to say, please don't talk about that, that's so embarrassing. So I say, okay, cross it out, or something. If it was negative, or a challenge that we're not going to talk about in the letter, we cross that off and stuff. But if you really feel like you want to share something, but that you don't want me to share with your child, please just put that in there. Please don't share this. And I just won't. But generally, I like reading it because they're hearing such positive things about themselves from you.
yeah, it's a good reflection piece as a parent, actually. The timing is perfect for it. Does anyone have any questions about the parent profile? Okay, we're going to move on to college visits. They're happening. The kids are great. I've had a private conversation with every single rep so far about the school climate at the moment. And there's been nothing but grace on the side for all of those people who think there are dragons reading your children's applications. They're not, they're human beings. And they cried also. So, but as Cindy said, we will note that on the recommendations. The only blip in the radar screen for college visits has been the college regret form. Kids are giving them to me after the college has left, which really does us no good because it's me being able to hand them to the rep that is the important part. So I quickly tell the kids I'm happy to share the college rep's information with them if they want to reach out. But I know sometimes a kid just feels better knowing that the college knows that they care about them, even if it's University of Wisconsin and 57 of our kids care about them. So, anybody have any questions about college visits? Yeah.
I actually asked my son to fill one of those out because there's a school coming that he wanted to participate in, but it got filled up. And he said, no, this is if you got into it and you have a test that comes up and you can't go. Is it okay to use it?
No, well, kids come to me and just say, Mrs. Carroll, I forgot to sign up, can I come to the visit? And I say, well, you'll have to sit on the floor, but yes.
Oh,
I'm not, I'm the only person that sees that list. And I see that list for a couple of reasons. Deadlines in life are important. The early bird catches the worm. All of these things are true. But if I can get your child into the visit, I will. They just need to come look me in the eye and say, I forgot, or it filled up too quickly, and we'll make it happen.
Okay, very good.
If they cannot attend the visit, then that's what those request forms are for.
Okay.
Okay? But we had kids hanging off the walls yesterday for Wisconsin, so not a problem. Yeah.
My daughter said, she's saying sometimes when she gets the email that they're coming, and then she will go to like look at it, she's saying that it's not letting her sign up even though it looks like there's space like it's already closed.
Then she should come in and see me or see Mrs. Granite, so there might be something wrong with Naviance. Your students must go back into their Naviance account. They go back into their Naviance account. Under colleges, on their college tab, they'll look at the list of college and they'll click on the left-hand side, it says visits. It lists all the visits with a blue button to the right. They click on the blue button to register. If they find that it's full or the deadline is passed, just come in and schmooze me.
So it could just be like she's just looking at it through the email?
Yeah, she
And
needs
that's
to go
what she
into
did?
Naviance.
Okay.
Yeah. They were all told all of this information, but it's a lot of, listen, it's a lot of information for me, and I only have 19 brain cells left. So I completely understand why it falls apart a little, but we're here to help. So, does anybody have any other questions about college visits? Okay. Recommendations.
Recommendations. So kids are asking me, who do they ask and how do they ask? They should have touched base last year with the teachers. And so I'm showing them as they come in for their senior appointment where to find it. It's on Naviance. It's under colleges. There's letters of rec. That's what the invitation is for them to link their Naviance account with their teacher rec. So the teacher knows to upload and it gets their accounts together going off. Some colleges do limit how many recommendations they can take. So we advise the kids to ask 2 teachers, usually the core teachers. For some artists or musicians, that might be a little bit different, but generally 2 core teachers. And then if they have a third one that they're interested in because it's art or because it's computer science or, that they want to add, then they can see which colleges will accept a third one. But it should show right up on Naviance that a college will only accept a maximum of 1, a maximum of 2, and they'll have to decide which teacher is going to be the one for that. It's well laid out in there, and we've had a lot of conversations about which one. It may depend on major, that they should really focus on, engineering, you should really focus on your physics teacher, something like that. That we'll talk them through it. What's the most important thing to do?
Yeah,
that.
every visitor we've had so far, because they go over it in the chat, they'll say, yes, we take recommendations, and if you're applying to engineering, we're expecting a science or math teacher. These are things that are very, very important. You might have loved your time in TV broadcasting, but if you really want to be a biology major, Mr. Sobolski could be the second recommender, but make sure you have someone in your back pocket that will speak to your prowess in a particular subject.
In the classroom, for sure.
Yeah.
And then there are rumors out there. One kid came to me yesterday and said, I heard that nobody wants a humanities teacher. And I was like, no, that's so not true. An English teacher writes a beautiful recommendation. Yeah. And so we're keeping the humanities alive till the end of time. And if they do talk to each other out there and say things that are
urban myth.
Oh gosh,
yeah.
Yes.
They're just like us. Also, you might say, well, I have a friend who's on the board of directors of XYZ College, and they would like to write a recommendation. That outside recommender for someone who does not have a New Canaan Public School email goes through the common application.
Under other recommenders.
Other recommenders. And I will caution you that, as the University of Wisconsin rep said yesterday, it's quality, not quantity. And if that said board of directors has never even met your child, but plays golf with dad, that's probably not the recommendation that you want in the file. If you're reading 80,000 applications, having an extra recommender in there is just gonna, so be smart about it. But if your child's had a job for 4 years and that person's willing to write them a recommendation and the school will take it, excellent.
Any reasons for that?
Yeah, any questions about Rex?
The question is, does it appear, will they know when the teacher has sent it?
yeah, Lisa knows that.
It does, we can see it. Yeah. No, they're all, yeah,
And also,
confidential.
let me say this, we're going to talk about just the actual flow of the application, but you all need to have some grace with this stuff. Your child will get information from a portal at a university, say University of Virginia, for example, that will say, oh, we're missing this and this and this. But maybe they're really not. Maybe it's in cyberspace and it just hasn't been collected yet. So before
It's
you.
maddening for us.
Yeah, so before you lead with anger, lead with grace instead, and, let's give it a couple of days. Let's double check with Mrs. Granite. Let's see what we can see. Let's talk to the teacher face to face. Did you send the, oh, thank you so much.
And it's fine for your child to call admissions and say, you keep saying it's missing and we've sent it. Could you just double
Yeah,
check?
is there a problem?
And then they look and they say, oh, yeah, it's all here.
Yeah.
It's like, can you change what the portal says? So generally, a quick call from the student to admissions. They hate making those phone calls, but it's really important for them to be the adult in the room and call, so.
Does anybody else have any questions about Rex? Yeah.
Very specific, but we're in a predicament where my daughter's applying to business schools, and her 2 recs are from a math teacher and an English teacher. The English grade was an A, the math grade was a B. So is there like a relationship, like a correlation, because she didn't know where the grade
Some of
would
the
land?
best stories are for where you didn't get an A, but you tried so hard, and your perseverance, and the grade is not the story. The grade's the story on the transcript. It's not necessarily the story in the recommendation.
Okay, because we couldn't decide, we thought, the English teacher might be a great writer more than the math teacher, so maybe it'll sound better, but the math doesn't, we're like throwing darts.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing.
There's things to worry about, that's not one of them.
Okay, okay, good.
Yeah, the teachers really describe the
Yeah, they
student
do a great
in the
job.
classroom, how they stepped up when they struggled, or asked for extra help, or moved into a better place, or whatever, so.
Any other questions about Rex? Okay,
One question.
scores. Oh, yeah.
On timing, so as I think you pointed out, each college sometimes has a different requirement in terms of number of letters of recommendation. What's the right timing for selecting which letter of recommendation you would use, and where exactly would you do that? Is that on Naviance or is that on?
It's on Naviance, and again, we're giving the teachers the same leeway of 3 to 4 weeks, so they know they're writing, but they need the deadline. And so if your child has an October 15th deadline, which is coming up, these teachers need to know right away that they're writing, so they can plan around that too. So again, it's like all the balls in the air, as we talked about, it's like all happening at the same time, and giving the teachers the time to write. So.
Right. Yeah, thank you.
And also, a little plug for how great our faculty is. They do this on their own time. They're at home on their recliner writing your child's recommendation on a Sunday morning. This is on their time, which is incredible of them.
And the
So,
lead time,
anything else?
sorry, just one, the lead time for this is just for the first application?
First
which is
Just for the
same-
first one, you only have to worry about the first application.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Scores.
Reddit scores.
So one of the things I
Just wanted to add here, on your child's GPA, it changed this year, of course, with the M3 math moving to honors math, but we've also changed the engineering courses to honors courses, and the TV broadcasting, some of those classes were listed under the overall GPA, not the academic GPA. We have moved all of that to the academic GPA as well, so some of your children may have, if they are taking those courses, may have nice
bumps in their GPA. It will reflect in Naviance. You can see what their new GPA is, but also if you just want a new transcript, that's easy enough for us to provide you. So that, again, is a Lisa Granite thing. Can you send it to me?
You have no control over that. University of Michigan gives numbers to things. You know, we'll give you this as a 4. That's, your child does the best they can for 4 years. You send it off, you say sayonara, and you move on.
But if
You
you
can't
are
worry about that.
self-reporting grades, do
Yes.
not put the honors weighting and shift it to a different number on it. You do the raw score that's listed in the transcript. We had a kid get in so much trouble and lose their placement a couple of years ago because they put the honors weighting. So they said, I got a 92, but it's an honors class, so it's a 95, and they put the 95 in. And then when they got the real transcript and said, well, you didn't get a 95.
Yeah.
Colleges take what we give them. They all have their own formula as to what they are going to do with that. They give this their own formula for honors classes, their own formula for AP classes. So they often take the unweighted raw score and then add their own weighting to things. Does that make sense?
You want to talk about sending? Whether to send or not send?
Oh, well, I don't have an answer for that. Generally speaking, every college is still saying, go to our website, look at what the average score is. If you are at the average or above, it's worth sending the score. The SAT is a barometer for them to say if it is a strong score and your GPA is strong, that gives us a lot of information. If it's a strong score and your GPA is a little less than the comparable, if your child has an 82 average but 700s on their SATs or 1400, that's probably not a good story to tell, but it does say that your child has some ability that was not reflected in their GPA. So we are very careful about what we send. If the scores are below the GPA, what your GPA is, it's probably not going to help at all. So so there's no point in sending it. So again, our colleges are saying score optional means score optional. It's okay. As much as some IVs are starting to play with that, and some of the schools have gone back to reporting scores, the majority of schools are still saying score optional means score optional, and we're okay. So we're just going to go forward with that.
It's under 20 colleges that are requiring scores. So keep that in mind. But I will say that even the BC rep said yesterday, it's a shame that kids that get 1,400 think that their score isn't any good. That's incredible. Can you imagine getting a 1,400? My God, I'd quit my job and I don't know what.
We'd still be here.
Yeah,
Come
I'd still
on.
be here. You're right. You're 100% right. Yeah, because my generation says, oh, we took the SAT when it was actually hard.
But scores are high because no one submits them unless they're high.
Yeah.
So the reported scores at colleges are way higher than they even 3 or 4 years ago. But that's the reality. Scores are high. And so it's a hard thing to answer the question. But we're doing it with each child, with each school. Yes, maybe not. So,
Yeah.
What percentage of kids are submitting scores?
Yeah, 65% of all kids that applied to BC last year submitted scores. Your kids ask them. They'll ask the rep, how many kids submit?
so in this school last year, 47% did not submit scores.
From the Canaan.
From
From your kid.
And they did okay, 92% did good.
Yeah, they got into their first choice in one of their first schools. Yeah.
My son has decided to submit scores, contrary to my daughter who's now in college, so I haven't been through the process of helping him to give the information. And I'm a little bit confused about how to deal with a school that wants to see all of their scores versus a school that says just send your best score. Do we say to the school that wants to see your best score, do we send 2 scores so that they can super score?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
ignore all the other, like I said, I think he took it 4 times total. So we have that choice to omit the 2 worst scores, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, so you go to College Board and you pick those, and they super score. There are a couple of colleges who just want to see all of them. They still do the same thing, they pick the top scores. I'm not sure why they want to see all of them, because it's usually a computer or a student who's putting in what's the top scores.
Yeah, that's, our reps reps very seldom see the compilation of scores. They don't see the buffet. They only, so, again, it's things we worry about that we probably shouldn't. So, but you do have to verify the scores from the ACT or the SAT if you're submitting scores.
Which
You'll put them on the Common App, but you send them to verify from the agency.
Which reminds me that in Common App, they ask, which dates and scores you're sending, and it may be laid out there. So if they're taking in October, November, just put the date down so they know to look for those scores, that they're still coming.
But if you're let's say you took it in March and then again in August, you don't just submit the high score in English for the first test, and you have to submit both.
Yes,
that you
full
took in
scores.
March.
You can't
full
just
score.
send the English
Okay.
and just send the math.
So they want to see both scores, and then they'll super score it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Their computer data, their software will do it.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the application in general, how it's actually physically read, and the different parts of it. Before that, I want to remind you all, an email went out to your students, your seniors this morning, that if they are applying to any of the University of California system, we will have a workshop from 11 to 12 on October 29th with a rep from the UCal system to walk your kids through the little complications that University of California has created in their application. And then also to know that there are dates, they're over there if you want to take a picture, right? Is that the red sign? Is that the SASE sign?
No, that's the SIP sign.
Oh, the SIP sign, okay, it's my poor eyesight. Again, I'm ancient. So we'll do those 2 workshops in October, 2 in November, Monday afternoon at, I think the next one is October 7th. October 7th, October 21st.
For what?
For application help from 11 to 12 in the College and Career Center. It'll be myself and a school counselor. There are no silly questions. If you need to figure out how to order your activities list, if you want to brainstorm about a supplemental essay, we're happy to help. So your kids can just pop in during that time period, bring their laptop, and we'll do whatever we need to do to help them out. So
It's just another resource, particularly if your counselor's not available, to come in during that lunch block and get extra help if you need it.
So your application, your child hits submit mostly on the Common App. They finish everything, they checked it over, they take their shaking finger and they hit submit.
Pay for it.
Yeah. And it flies out into cyberspace. And in the meantime, Mr. McAteer and Mr. Killalay are writing their recommendations, and they hit submit, and they fly out through Naviance to cyberspace, to College XYZ. And then Mrs. Rivera has finished your child's recommendation, and she hits submit. And with her recommendations goes the transcript, the school profile,
The school report.
The school
You'll hear
report.
that term.
that all goes. And it isn't until all of the boxes are filled at XYZ College, and every college is looking for different things. So maybe 2 things will do it for one college, but maybe all 4 things for another. And it all collects, and they get a little green light saying, file complete. And then your child, at this point, while all of this is going on, most likely will be asked to open a portal account at that university. And that will notify them, green light, we got everything. Or we're rubbing against the deadline and we're missing this and this. Okay? That's why your kids have to open their emails. Okay? So now I'm a reader, I'm the rep for XYZ College. I got 2 screens in front of me, and I'm gonna start, we've gotten the okay from the dean, we're gonna start reading applications. I have a screen over here that has just numbers. I have transcripts and I have test scores if they were submitted. And then over here, I'm reading the activity sheet, I'm reading the essays, I'm reading the recommendations. I'm gonna decide, reject, defer, accept, or move on to another reader, depending on how the school does it. So all of those things together become the application. not just the Common App piece. And the college can't start reading it until they have everything. That's why deadlines are important. And like the government, who isn't happy if you don't meet their April deadline, the same with the colleges. There's not a lot of grace here. So it's important to stay on topic. And if, as Cindy said, if your child's not feeling it yet, let your counselor know, okay? So the parts of the application, demographics, their proper legal given name should be used throughout the entire process so that everything matches up. Make sure the birthday is correct and the address is correct. Our kids, your kids, abbreviate everything. Make sure that it makes sense. Check it over. Next comes the activities list. There's only 10 spots. If your kids need help aligning the activity list, we're happy to help them do it. Do they need to put track in there that they did 1 year? No, they do not. They feel like there's 10 slots, we have to fill them all. You don't. You don't. Okay? Then comes essays, several essays. You want to talk a little bit about the assortment of essays?
Yeah, I think we talked about this. Most of the kids have been sharing their essays with me as we go through the meetings, which is really good. So they have the one 650-word essay that they're their personal essays, so that's great. And then the supplemental essays. Some of them will come after you submit the application. Suddenly there's another short essay because of the major they identified. Some of them, the short essays are created by the schools for very specific reasons, so they shouldn't hold on to them and wait to the last minute to just throw something together. It really should be an important part for them to stop and think about what they're writing. It should align very much with the mission of the school. So
Wait, say that again, Cindy, because it's brilliant. Say it again.
it should align with
Because
the
no one pays
mission of
attention
the
to
school,
this.
particularly like the Catholic schools, Providence and Villanova and stuff. They really think about mind, body, spirit. How does that all integrate into who you are? So they're going to ask for those kinds of very specific things that they talk about in their mission.
The Notre Dame rep looked at the 18 beautiful children sitting around the table, and she looked at them and she said, one student said, "Who do you accept? What are you looking for?" Well, of course, grades, we want to make sure you can do the work here at Notre Dame, and we want to make sure that you are an active member of the community because we have an active community at Notre Dame. And then we're going to make sure, we're going to look for people that align with our mission. She said it. They've got a supplemental. So I can't say this enough. It's a missed Easter egg. The college's motto, the college's mission statement for supplemental applications are important to note. And it's a good little thing to remember.
And I don't want kids to share all of that with me when they're done, because then if I say, it needs work, they're like, oh, God, I still have to work on this. We recommend that they go to the Writing Center, but the problem is the Writing Center is only available to students at the second half of a block. So if at 8.1 they run in to get advice, they're doing a class at that point, instruction for kids who are assigned to the Writing Center. 8.2 is for drop-in. So I've had some kids say, oh, I haven't been able to utilize it because that's the only time I have. So use the Writing Center as best they can, their counselor as best they can, to have us really look at this. And we always say, a lot of kids say, well, my parents are helping me with it. It's like, well, your parents kind of are biased, and they're really going to, maybe even with their best intentions, not see the flaw in the essay, not see that they haven't brought it home to why this is important to the college or why it's important to them as to why they're even talking about it. So that's the piece that the counselors can see and the Writing Center can see, that these might need that little twist, I have no word, but it needs that little extra. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think of tweet now as
We put two mains
tweak.
together, we got one good
Yes.
brain.
Okay. And so that's very important. And then there is the other essay, there's still the COVID question in there, but as to how you were impacted, but now it's a disruption question. Was there a point in your high school career or now, these 2 weeks, that have majorly disrupted your life? And maybe an explanation for why suddenly your grades, there was a bump in your grades or something, you know,
It's just a short explanation more than an essay.
Yeah, it's short. And oftentimes, those things are things counselors talk about, so they may not need to put something in there, but again, we talk to the kids about that, and you should talk to them as well. Was there a significant death in the family? Were they injured? Did they have COVID that kept them out of school for a period of time? So all of those things, kids do talk about it in our senior appointment, or they can reflect back that it was bigger than they thought, and they were distracted during that time. So whether we put it in the letter or not is a point of discussion, so it's something we'll look at. Any questions?
The Writing Center's Zoom with the college essay guy for the supplemental essay was emailed. The link to it, as well as the workbook, was emailed to your children last Friday. I did it. So,
Yeah, if they weren't able to actually attend the session, which was last week, which a lot of kids were not able.
we're not, right?
We're not
There was
in the
something going on, I think, at St. A's that night, so.
Yeah.
So that is available to them also. And if they need help brainstorming, you know, I think kids have already started their big essay, but if they need help brainstorming, you know, just definitely come and see us. Also, you know, kids have been coming in and asking about resumes. I'm happy to help them with resumes. A lot of colleges will not take resumes. So very few, you would upload it through the Common App. If you think that you're going to put the resume in an envelope and mail it to the school when they've gotten everything else digitally, that's just not going to work. So if they don't accept resumes, they don't accept resumes. You make those 10 spaces fit on the activity sheet, and if there is something that's so important to you, you can write a small explanation in additional information. Susan Migliorosi, who has been our BC rep for 20 years now and has read over, she thinks, at least 80,000 essays. So one of your children said to her, well, what are you looking for in an essay? And she said, just tell me a story. Don't tell me anything. Don't reiterate the activities list. Tell me a story. Because that's only you can tell me that. I don't care what the story's about. I've read, there's nothing that would surprise me anymore. Just tell me a story. And she looked at them and she said, you've been writing essays since 3rd grade. Like, this is not, just tell me a story. So the kids were all like this when she was saying that, so they get it. Does anybody have any questions about the writing samples? Yeah.
Question about the resumes. Is there any benefit to a senior having a LinkedIn account?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Is there any benefit to a senior having a LinkedIn account?
They will have one at the end of the year. Some kids do use it. We have a couple of students that are filmmakers, for example. If you're doing something that is so particular and adult, you know, you've been acting professionally, for example, then perhaps, but you're imagining that reps who are reading thousands of applications have time to go to your LinkedIn account to look at it. I don't have time to look at LinkedIn accounts. So I would think that that would be a distraction you don't need. But if you have one, you know, you can certainly put the link in. You know, and certainly if you are an artist or a filmmaker or a musician or a TV broadcasting student, having a link, especially under, for example, additional information that the college can link on to see your work, that's a helpful bit, especially if you're a creator.
And I say that to the journalism kids too, you know.
Absolutely. We have such a good school newspaper.
Yeah, it's amazing, so it's great to find that out.
That's probably more important than like the LinkedIn piece, because you're showing something that's school related.
And they can choose to click on it or choose not to.
Not to.
It's fine, so I always throw it in there just in case, so.
Does anybody else have any questions about the writing parts of the essay? Yes?
So for schools that do accept a resume upload, what's the benefit of
uploading a resume versus just using the activity section?
For me, it's been for the kids who can't describe it all. You know, if they're doing something significant that they haven't been able to describe in the activities, if there's more to say, that a resume can say, then I'll say that it's okay to do it. Generally, it's not.
Also, your children should remember, if they are significantly helpful in the home, if you have an aged parent living with you, if your parents are out working and your senior is the person that comes home after school and makes sure the fourth grader gets off the bus, that belongs on the activity sheet. A job from this zip code, for your kids to have jobs, it's unusual, which is too bad, but that's a separate TED Talk. So that's important. That's very important. Remember, your kids are competing for spots with the whole world here. So jobs are important. If they help out at the house, that's important.
I just wanted to also talk about what happens to the application
After it's gotten there and your kids have joined, have set up their account and stuff. And it gets that first review from the regional rep who was here already and knows our school and knows the kids around here. They'll look at the preliminary filing and look at the applicant in the context of the school, the region, the opportunities they had available, did they take advantage of those, and if they couldn't, why? Then it may go on to a second reader or a committee review. Now they're looking at it in terms of their class. What do we need in our class to fill our class? How do we round out our class? And where will they fit in our university? So then it's looking at it from a different perspective. And as they begin to mold their class and meet their own institutional needs as to, oh, we've got, someone who can play the cello, we need a cello player. So, those kinds of things that are coming in. They're looking at it academically, geographically, all the demographic factors are all coming in. And then you haven't gotten the accept at that point, it might still go to a final read where they make the final decision release, because now they're comparing apples to apples and where we're going with this. So your child's application goes through a few rounds before it gets to that final decision. And that's why I say if more information is coming in, that's a good thing to do. We forward it, they add it to the file for the next reader. If they've already read it, it adds in. So different colleges have different ways of giving points for things, but it's just really important to understand where they're going with that, okay?
Does anybody else have any questions about the actual application? No? All right, the last couple of pieces, mock interviews, kids, especially if you've applied to Ivies, but not Columbia, Georgetown, many schools right now, Wake Forest. If your child is going to interview, then they can come in and we'll set up a time to do a mock interview. It's better to do it closer to the interview than not, and I'm happy to do that with your kids. You've got great kids, you already know that, and they're fun to talk to, so I'm happy to polish them up a little before their actual interview. And then the last piece is, how are you going to pay for all of this fun? And to that end, Financial Aid Night is in person on October 10th in this room at 7 p.m. I highly recommend it. I'm one of those people that would actually make my child come also. And I will say again, you're shaking your head, I know.
No, I think it's
You're good. I can't say this enough, that if you have not yet had that conversation with your child about how you pay for this, I don't care if you're just going to write that check for $90,000 a year, God bless you. Your child should have to, at this point, your child's 17 or 18 years old, they should have to know why and how you saved so that you can write that check. If grandma and grandpa are going to help out, how did that conversation happen? Let's write a thank you note to them. If there's going to be loans to be had, how will those loans be handled? If we want college A, but gee, college B is giving us a 80% discount. Let's take a really good look at college B. because you can't tell me at the end of the day that Phi Beta Kappa at both places isn't pretty darn good. So you really, it's one of those dining room table, it always happened at the dining room at my house, one of those dining room table conversations about how you're paying for it. On the bridge to adulthood, it's very, very important. So financial aid night, October 10th. Go to the college's net price calculator and noodle around and see how much, if there is aid to be had. If your child is looking for a job on campus, oftentimes, even if you are paying full freight for them, the FAFSA still has to be filled out because paying jobs on campus oftentimes, more often than not, come through the financial aid office. The FAFSA is very simple now, takes you 15 minutes as opposed to the 3 hours it used to take. So it never would hurt you for filling it out. And then also there's a great website, FastWeb, F-A-S-T-W-E-B, which is the clearinghouse for merit scholarships. So your children can go on FastWeb, spend 15, 20 minutes filling out their information, and FastWeb will then email them scholarships that pertain to them. You know, did you have a great-grandfather that fought in World War II? Do you play a musical instrument?
Are you left-handed?
Are you left-handed? Yeah, there's a scholarship for that. So those are other ways. There are scholarships to be had from New Canaan High School, which you'll learn more about come January, but they are through the New Canaan Scholarship Fund and through the New Canaan Community Foundation Sapienza program, and also Kiwanis, for example, has a scholarship. So your kids and you will be made aware of that the second half of the year when this part's all done. Does anybody have any questions about interviews or financial aid? Yeah.
Is the FastWeb, are all the links to those on your site?
Pardon?
FastWeb? The
Yes.
FastWeb is a link to that on your site?
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
I don't think so,
But again, FASTWEB.
okay.
That's what, yep. I usually bring out handouts and I forgot them, sorry. Yes, Ian?
There was a link on the website that I rewatched over the summer from last year's financial aid presentation, which was excellent. But it's
Financial
not,
aid?
it's broken now, the link is not working. Yeah, because I wanted my son to sit and go through it.
We have to go through it, yeah. Well, it probably is better to come to the financial aid night this year. FAFSA went under a huge upheaval last year. It was a very unpleasant situation. And so the Bill Smith who's coming, who's great, he will have actually what's happening right now because that landscape has changed a little bit.
Yeah. And they do have very good information, but it will, that video then will be up within a couple of days too, of the new one.
Yeah, if you can't get
I
there.
think that the one last year, the company takes it down after a certain
Yeah.
time, so.
We weren't as happy with them as we are with Bill Smith anyhow. It's truth to be told. Any other questions or any other ways Cindy and I could be helpful to you? Yeah. No, that was,
Beginning, you missed it.
you missed it. You have to watch the video. They're coming. There'll be internships at the end of the year. Yeah.
Just quickly, so for broadcasting, my son's been very involved. It's a big part of maybe what he wants to do. I guess the site, something happened, so all the videos or the podcasts are sort of disappeared. Things that maybe he could have, I mean, he'll do more, but they were, I don't know how do we look into, maybe do you think they could get that info back? Or he just told me that yesterday.
That's a Mr. Sobolski question.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, please follow up
Yeah.
with Mr. Cebulski and Mr. Resnick, who's reporting this. And I'll be
Okay.
probably
Okay.
looking
Sure.
into it as well.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for your attention all. I hope you all have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.